Welcome back, Pronghorn Nation, as we're back here with another Coach's Corner. Chase the Horseman Horsley here alongside with Coach Shawn Neary here with the men's basketball coach. And Coach, obviously you guys got a big win against LCCC on Tuesday, which originally you weren't even supposed to have a game against LCCC on Tuesday. But how do you think that game went?
I thought our guys came out and we had a good, good focus and good intensity. We shot the ball pretty well, and overall, I thought it was a good game for us. Get back to scoring over 100 again, and kind of playing up tempo a little bit, and just the guys kind of having fun with it. And LCCC's, they're a good team. I think we just, they had one of their guys missing, and we just kind of came out and played pretty well, and it just kind of went.
Obviously, you guys are still top in the nation in scoring points per game. Obviously, you talked about it. Haven't been into the triple digits in a little bit. Mostly that's just been because you guys have had some really tough games here recently.
Yeah, and I think people are trying to take the air out of the ball a little bit against us, and I get it. I'd probably do the same, try to slow a team down that scores a lot of points, limit possessions. We're certainly going to see that this weekend on Thursday when we play Western Wyoming, and that's okay. You got to learn to play fast. You got to learn to play a little slower, because you're going to see that style of basketball as you go through the conference, obviously, in the conference tournament, and if you advance past that. So it's okay. Our guys have to adjust and just do what we do, and that's the most important thing for us.
Yeah, doing what you do. And speaking of doing what you do, Caleb Hollenbeck obviously comes up with another big game as well too. Obviously, you have three big starters. You have with Dane Christensen, Jefferson Neary, really actually 4 or 5. Pretty much all your 5 starters are actually pretty solid with Fuquay as well too. What have you seen that has been different? That maybe that LCCC you saw maybe some spurts of things that you haven't seen throughout the season so far?
Every game is so different. It just takes a life of its own, and LCCC was kind of an up-tempo game, and we were able to kind of get out in transition. They play a little bit like us. They shoot fast. They shoot a lot of threes. So, when they're shooting well and making those shots, they're tough. And fortunately for us, I think we guarded pretty well most of the game, and we were able to get some transition baskets, and just kind of the ball got moving for us offensively, and we got good looks, and guys were knocking down shots.
Obviously, you guys have a fun matchup coming up against Western Wyoming and Casper, and obviously Casper College didn't really go the way that you guys wanted to out when you guys were on the road. So what are the takeaways to try to switch the momentum and get it back to the Pronghorn side? Obviously 12-0 at home, trying to keep that home court alive. So what are the keys to keeping that?
Western Wyoming on Thursday, a really well-coached team. They're going to take the air out of the ball a little bit. They're gonna try to make it a lower possession game. Again, for us, we just have to guard. We're not going to do anything different than we've been doing. We just got to guard. They've got really good size. They've got a couple guys on the perimeter that can really score too. So, I think it's a kind of a typical good Region 9 matchup.
Right.
I think their record is deceiving. I know they're 3-4 in conference, which, some people may look at and say, well, I don't know about that. But, they're a good ball team, and well coached. And so, we're going to have to play well, and we're going to have to be able to probably, really guard and rebound well, and not that you don't every night, but for sure.
Yeah, and to clarify, 3-4 for Western Wyoming and 6-1 for Casper. So I know we kind of got those mixed up, but it's just you go back and you really think. Obviously, you talked about a deceiving record with a 12-13 record, 3-4 in conference. Obviously, they're 5-5 away. So they know how to win games on the road, which is very good in Region 9 basketball, because obviously when you get to those home crowds of opponents' teams, those make things a lot more difficult. But obviously you have big guys in Galit. I'm gonna butcher his name. Gamidas Elias with 18 points per game. What are the big keys of stopping him during this matchup? Obviously, had the one on the road. Now you guys get it home. You took down them at their home spot because now they're wanting it done here.
You know, he's a talent. I mean, he's a big, strong kid, and he plays hard. And he's a guy that you just can't speed up. You know, he just kind of takes his time, and he knows how to play. He knows how to get angles inside. Um, he's a good player. He's a load,
Hmm.
and he's done it all year. He's very efficient. So yeah, it's a challenge for us for sure. He's one of the better big guys we'll probably see all year, and we did okay down there in Rock Springs against him, but you know he's a challenge, and our guys are going to have to step up and really defend him well on Thursday.
So, anyways, with Western Wyoming, obviously Thursday you guys are going to have to figure out ways to guard Elias. But moving to Casper on Saturday, that one's going to be probably more of the tougher side of things because if you guys win, that keeps momentum for you guys to have the conference tournament here at home. Obviously, that would be something that is being you really want, and you're also trying to defend home court, trying to stay undefeated here. What are the key goals, especially to stop their top scorer?
Yeah, I mean Casper's really talented. They're well coached. They play a style that's a little different than some of the teams you play
Hmm.
in Region 9. You know, they like to press, and they're like us. They're up tempo. They like to get up and down. They attack. They got, they're very talented.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's one of those games
Very good.
where,
Yes.
yeah, it's just, you just got to go toe to toe, and hopefully you play well that night. But there's no weaknesses, and
No.
there's no kinks in the armor. You just got to play better, and hopefully our guys will step up and do that.
Going back and you're talking about no weaknesses, they're averaging about 45.3 rebounds per game. What do you want to see from maybe Ali Sacco, maybe Drew Fuquay? What are you wanting to see from your big guys to maybe bring down those big rebounds that like you guys need, those second chance points and things like
Mhm.
that? What do you want to see from them?
Yeah, I think Casper's bigs do a great job of crashing the boards, and that hurt us in Casper for
Hmm.
sure. So our guys are going to have to. We got to do a better job of blocking out and rebounding as a group. But certainly, you've got to keep some of their better offensive rebounders off the glass, and it's not easy. They're
No.
good at it. They work hard at it. They're long. They're athletic. So it's not like you can just talk about it and it happens.
Right.
But it'll be a challenge for us for sure, and it's something that I think we'll see. But I think if the rebounding numbers are close, or if we can win that margin a little bit, I think it puts us in a position to hopefully come out on top.
You mentioned teams trying to slow you guys down. Obviously, how do you keep the tempo? How are you guys able to keep the pressure and to keep the offensive movement going? Obviously, because you guys like to go quick, you don't like to stay slow. So, how do you guys end up switching that momentum back after a team's trying to slow it down?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's when a team takes the shot clock down to 10, 8 seconds before they get their first shot.
Hmm.
It's just going to be that pace. We don't do a lot of trapping. We don't do a lot of full court pressing. Everybody knows that. It's no secret.
Right.
Um, so yeah, you just kind of have to guard, and maybe you speed them up on offense a little bit. Maybe if we score fast, that puts more pressure on them to kind of get, to want more possessions.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's one of those things, pace, the pace of the game. And sometimes it's in your favor, and sometimes it's not. But you have to be able to play both ways, and you have to be able to compete both ways. And at Rock Springs, our guys did a good job. I think the final score was 83-79 maybe, or something like that. So a little bit low scoring for us, but
Hmm.
that's okay. We had to battle through it, and our guys made some big plays coming down the stretch, and got some critical stops and some critical rebounds, and but I think the pace is determined a lot by you know just how well you guard, and
Hmm.
even Even if you have to guard those last 8 seconds, if that's when they're going to look to
Yeah.
score, you got to do a good job there and limit their second opportunities. So that'll be a challenge for us.
Talk about that timeout that you guys had in that LCCC game. Obviously, LCCC was just moving the ball, getting things done, doing what they needed to do. All of a sudden, you took that timeout, and after that timeout, it just went your way. Like everything just started falling the way it needed to. How big was that just timeout? Did you see that you needed it, or what was your thought process throughout that?
Yeah, I wish I could take credit that it changed the game, but sometimes I think the guys just need to be refocused. Sometimes they just need to be reminded that we're not executing at the level we should be.
Hmm.
Um, and some of it was LCCC. They were playing well, and like you said, moving the ball and getting good looks, and we just kind of had to step up a little bit. And so the guys, they responded,
Hmm.
and it worked out.
A lot of times we got to talk with Andrew Fuquay right at the end of it as well too, and Thomas had asked some questions about the play, how things are going as a team. It's just been one thing after another. Both teams, girls and guys, the team chemistry has just been meshed in together. Is that something that you always portray for each of your teams? I mean, obviously 27-3 last year, 22-2 now. What is that something, the team chemistry, something you really harp on?
I think you take care of a lot of that in the recruiting process. You recruit people that have good character first,
Hmm.
and people that understand the importance of team over individual, especially basketball. So I think a lot of that takes care of itself when you recruit the right type of student athlete. And fortunately, we've been able to do that and hope to continue to do that. But it's also something I think is important to us as a program.
Hmm.
We emphasize it, we talk about it, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to them doing it. And just thankful that we have a group of guys that you know are good that way, and that I think it helps us be competitive.
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And competitiveness is really what you need, especially coming down to the stretch. We talked postseason. After these two home games, you're on the road for the rest of the time being. Um, Obviously, we've talked about momentum shift and throughout last week, but what for you as a coach changes your mindset? You're like, okay, you know what? We got our last two games here at home. Does the mindset change saying, all right, we're on the road? What do we need to do now?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it does too much. I mean, obviously, these guys have grown up playing basketball forever. They know,
Hmm.
half your games are at home, half are on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so. I think it's just part of it. I think, again, you try to recruit so you have some depth. You try to recruit so you have some toughness. The chemistry part is really important as you go on the road and
Hmm.
have to face the different challenges that happen on the road. So I don't think we change anything. We certainly don't talk about it. I mean, good or bad, we just kind of do what we do, and hopefully it works out.
Hey, and it works out. I mean, 22-2 on the season, 12-0 here at home. I mean, and also still maintaining that 101.3 points per game, and shooting the ball has been pretty solid as well too. Shooting about 52% from the field, and 40% from beyond the arc, which that leads into Caleb Holdenbeck, Dane Christensen. Fuquay's been shooting a couple threes as well too now here as of recent as well too, but obviously 3-point shots have been one of the things that has really helped, the Pronghorns. But obviously, Western Wyoming, they pose a huge threat in the paint because that is where they like to shoot the ball.
Mhm.
Obviously, you have Fuquay, Javon Nesbitt. What are the keys to keep them out of the paint and make them jack up 3-pointers that, aren't really on the mark?
Yeah, I think it starts with pressure on the ball. You gotta make the ball uncomfortable. You can't just let guys have easy looks inside.
Hmm.
So for us, it starts with ball pressure, and then depending on the situation, where how we're going to defend the low post, whether we're going to maybe do a full front or maybe do a three-quarter front or no front, whether whatever we do to the low post player, and we have some different looks, and so
Hmm.
we'll throw some different things at them, but um, you got to make the ball hard to see. You just can't let those guys just have easy passes inside, and that really starts with the ball, guarding the ball. So That's a big deal to us. We've always tried to emphasize it.
Yeah.
And most games so far this year it's worked out. But they're a very good inside out team, and they've got some guys that can do some ball screens and roll to the basket and get looks. And so that presents a challenge for us for sure.
Who would you say right now, coming off the bench, besides Javon Nesbitt, because we know that one, who would you say right now is going to play a big key role into the 2 upcoming matches?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think we're expecting a contribution from all 8, 9 guys that play. And every game is different, and every rhythm of the game is different, and some guys get going and some guys don't. But I think their defensive effort, and I think their rebounding effort, and their attitude can always be good. And I think that that's where we got to live. And if they make some plays offensively, I just think that's a bonus.
Well, Coach, one final question for you so I can get you out of here. But you focus in on the offensive side of the ball, but we haven't really talked a lot more on the defensive side. We've talked a little bit about guarding the paint, trying to jack up 3-pointers, obviously perimeter defense. Casper attempts about 33s per game as well too. So it's going to be kind of one of those big testaments for offense and defensive side. But you go back and you think, okay, well, you got to win these 2 games, then you got to focus. How do you get your guys just to focus on one game, not focusing on the 2 games that you trying to get to win, and focusing on the road? But how do you get them to be like, hey, we can't overlook Western Wyoming, and then we definitely can't overlook Casper? How are you able to do that?
Yeah, I don't think I think, for us, it's a day-to-day process, and we're not, like you said, we have our last 4 games on the road. I haven't even looked, to be honest with you. I know we go on the road. I think next Monday we'll figure out our buses and hotels, and we'll take a look at it. But I just think that, we got to get them ready for Thursday, and that's the most important day. And then when Thursday's over, you get ready for Friday, and when Friday's over, so I just think that day-to-day process is really important. And I think as an athlete in general, if you start looking ahead, I think you're going to miss where you're at. Right. And I don't, we do try to like any coach, just tries to coach focusing on the day, and that's what we do as well. And again, I think so much of that is, obviously we're emphasizing it, but it's also the athlete. It's how competitive are they? Because if they're not competitive, I think guys that are not competitive or less competitive, they might look at the calendar, they might look at the schedule. I don't want our guys to do that. Yeah. We're just locked in on this, and whatever happens on Thursday, hopefully, we'll come back Friday and do what we do. And same on Saturday. Just getting that mentality of avoiding the highs and the lows. Right. It's a 30-game regular season.
Yeah.
Then you potentially have 3 or 4 games in the playoffs, and if you get through those and win that, you go to Hutch. Yeah. So that's a lot.
It's a growing season.
Yeah, and so to talk about that stuff for us is just not. It's not what we do. It's not how we approach it at all. So, and I think that helps keep our guys grounded, and it helps keep them, keeps them where their feet are, and lock in on what we're doing today. And that's kind of been our formula.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you again for joining us here on our Coach's Corner.
Thanks, Chase. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, guys, we'll get you back to another Coach's Corner coming up as well, too. From Chase the Horseman Horsley to Coach Shawn Neary. We'll see you guys next time here on Coach's Corner.